It's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's our goal. Hey, it's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's also a show. Hey.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Breaking Bread with Tom Papa. I'm Tom Papa. Thank you for spending some time with us today. We have a great show for you. You're going to really enjoy it. We're going to break bread with my good friend, Joey Ryan, who is one half of the Milk Carton Kids. Super, super cool band and super funny. Joey has this great combination of musical ability and comic ability, which is very unusual to find. And his partner Kenneth Pattengale also is. They got comic minds and comic personas in that they're somewhat cynical and somewhat wise-assy, and yet they're also very sincere and write these amazing, beautiful, heartfelt songs. And if you ever get a chance to see them live, you have to. When this is all over and we get our vaccines in our butts, you have to see them live, because the show is just to walk out after having great laughs and great music. It's, one of the best things you could do. We also have a quick bite with the great Tom Segura, one of our first guests. I think he might have actually been the first guest on Breaking Bread. And it's amazing. That's amazing. We've done a lot of these. We've had a lot of shows. And when Tom and I were talking, we were talking about how the next one we will actually sit and break bread, and we'll actually be able to share meals. And I've been able to do that with just a couple of our guests in the fits and starts of this pandemic. But it's kind of weird that we're almost coming up on a year of it, and Tom and I still will not be in the same room eating and drinking, which that is our goal. There are certain people in my world who I really, really want to do that with. And it's not even that they're that unique. It's just in my head, I'm like, I've got to get to that person, and we kind of made preliminary plans. And until I sit down with them at a table, I won't feel that things are right yet. So Tom Segura, we will do a quick bite with him and see how he's doing and how he's mending after his big kerfuffle on a basketball court. It's kind of a tale about old people doing things they shouldn't. So that'll be great. One of the nice things that I have been craving during this whole pandemic, and I got to do last week, was, for some reason, the sitting in a restaurant with a crisp white tablecloth. That, to me, it just shows a certain level of normality. And it's not like, I've been to a couple places where I go with my friend Gil, and we sit outside at this picnic table, and it's like a beer and wing joint, and we have a beer and have a nice lunch. It's fine. It's good. It's great, actually, but it's not the proper silverware, crisp white tablecloth. This is now a grown-up endeavor that should be done indoors, and just means that you're just stepping out of the normal fray for a minute, and they've created this environment that feels special and makes you feel special, and for the short hour or two that you're in there, you're kind of transported, and then you go back about your life. The picnic table doesn't do that. The curbside pickup doesn't do that. The opening the containers at home could be the best food that you enjoy from your favorite place, but when you're taking it out of when you're having to go around and undo the foil rim so the plastic top can come off, it's just not the same. And here in Los Angeles, we have opened and shut and opened and shut, and we opened again, and I got to go share a meal with my daughter before she went back to school at Petit Trois, which is this French restaurant bistro that opened in LA, and normally you do sit inside with the crisp white tablecloths, and you can't do that, but they do have a good setup where they have replicated the tables with that crisp white tablecloth. And we sat outside at lunchtime, and they bring out a baguette and their special butter, and that tablecloth is there, and we actually said it as we were doing it. We're like, we're unrolling a napkin and taking out good silverware. Oh, the excitement. No mask, sitting there with somebody that you know for a fact is not going to contaminate you. And it wasn't all the way back, but it was close. It was really close. And it was a great, great meal. The reason we went was we saw on HBO, Selena Gomez has this new cooking from home show, and she had Chef Ludo, who is the creator of that restaurant, and he was on it, and he was making this omelet and telling her, kind of like cooking from his kitchen to her kitchen and trying to, a pandemic show. And she's adorable and fun, and he's French and loud, and it was very funny. But we were really just excited because he was making this omelet. We're like, we're going to get that omelet. And just the care and the style, and it was just, please. And then to be able to go and eat that the next day, what a treat. Just a treat. I really do crave it. That's one of the cool things about Joey Ryan. He lives kind of near me, and he is one of those people who I have in my mind of when I'm with him, we're going to be getting closer to living the way we want to live. And we've made plans and had them canceled several times because we have children and other people. And how badly do you need to have a coffee and a cookie with somebody? Is it worth risking the life of the people around you? Yeah, we're getting to the point where I think it might be. I think I would roll the dice on my family's health. Here's something I want to show you. If you're looking at this on the YouTubes or on the social media, I will describe it to you if you're just listening to it on the podcast. When I started baking bread and started getting good at it and started distributing it to my friends and family and comedians, and I actually, I needed bags. And had to research paper bags that could actually put the bread in it. And it took me a while, and I finally found the right ones that were the right size. And, that's a kind of a thing you don't really think about. You're thinking about just making this bread as good as you possibly can. And then it's like, well, you know what? The bag is kind of important. If you go to any place and they give it to you in any kind of wrapping, any kind of whatever, it makes a big difference. So I found the right one. And I now have been baking so much bread for so long and giving it and spreading it around the land like Johnny Appleseed that I ran out of bags. And look at the size. I just got a new shipment of bags. I'm struggling to hold it up. This is 200 bags. 200. That means that doesn't seem possible, but that I have baked that much. I mean, it makes sense if I'm doing 2 loaves at each bake, and I'm doing a couple bakes a week. But this is what I've realized is this is a business that I'm making no money at. I am just spreading it around, and look, it's a joy. It's a great excuse, especially during this year, to be able to see people. Like, there are comedians that I know and love, and just, you see them on social media, but if I could throw a bread in a bag and drive over to Bert Kreischer or Ali Wong or Fortune or whoever and drop off these breads, it's like a nice little excuse for a visit. You can't just tell somebody, I'm just going to drive up to your house and stand on your lawn for a couple of minutes and then just go about. You got to do something. You got to tie it into some kind of an activity. Otherwise, you're just a weirdo. I am a weirdo, but I'm a weirdo who bakes. And this is kind of a milestone that I actually needed to get a new shipment. It's the same thing as when I get a new 50-pound bag of flour. When that giant bag of flour lands with a thud on the front doorstep, there's a little pride, this is something that we do, and we are plowing through it. Who else is getting multiple deliveries of 50-pound bags of flour? Not a lot of people. And how many people need 200 bags at a time to rock it through? What I really need to figure out is how I can spread the reach in this little nonprofit of mine. Can I get this bread across the country in due time, so like my daughter at school can get it, or my family back east? Can I ship it? I tried doing it early on. When I was doing the other podcast, and I would try and get it to some listeners. There were a couple of people that were really begging for it, and kind of pricey, kind of difficult making sure that it gets there. But I do have a recipe now for this bread, this country blonde bread, that actually gets better like a day in. So maybe a travel day as it's maturing. I don't know. What I'm trying to say to you as you're listening is I have you in mind, and you could possibly get bread if we work it out. I got the bags. I got the flour. Now we need some shipping. Oh, this is becoming a business. I got to get back on stage soon. All right. Well, we are going to start off with my good pal Joey Ryan. He's so funny. He's so thoughtful. Well, the cool thing about him, too, is that it's his thoughtfulness about comedy, which I really appreciated and liked. You have a lot of people that are just like, oh, that's funny. He got some funny stuff and whatever. But he really appreciates comedy and comics and different styles and different forms, and he would always want to talk about it and go into the weeds, which is something that I really, really appreciate and love to talk about. And I love also to talk about the same thing on the musical end. So we became fast friends, and we got to tour around on Live From Here when he was the creative director and I was the head writer. We got to work together for a couple of years in a row and got to travel all over the place and go to have these great meals in these great restaurants. And he just became a great, great friend, and I'm so happy to be able to sit and break bread with him and introduce him to all of you. And like I said, if you love the Milk Carton Kids and you've listened to their music, go and see them live whenever probably spring, summer, fall. I don't know. We'll get there. So now enjoy Joey Ryan, and when we come back, we will have Catch a Quick Bite with Tom Segura.
Papa.
Hey, Joey.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
How do I look?
You look a little spooky.
Yeah. You know how I feel? Itchy.
Yeah, that's why I started growing the beard for a while. And I was like, around Christmas, I was like, oh, I don't have to be on camera. I don't have to do anything. I'm just going to let it rip. And I was like, I even got over like that the gray was in. I was like, I don't care if I look older. But the itchy, I couldn't
Yeah,
feel
no,
it.
it's terrible.
Yeah. Are all guys with beards itchy?
I don't know. This is the first time in my life I've ever had anything past about 5 days worth of just laziness and not shaving. And it was horrible. And then, and my kids and my wife were like, you got to shave. Like, this is unacceptable. You have to get rid of this. And then I finally agreed with them, and I was like, all right, if I'm going to shave it. And I spontaneously rushed to stop me from going into the bathroom and shave. And they were like, no, don't shave it now. You've come this far. So now it's like I'm being held hostage by my whole family. But every day I wake up and I'm like, today's the day. I mean, it grows so slowly, you don't know. But this is like 2 months.
Oh man, oh man.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
very manly.
No, it looks good though. I mean, it does look good. You do look different though.
I know.
You
I
definitely
feel
changed
different.
your face. And here's where I'm at. I shaved, and I had to like scissor it back. It was so long, and I was like, before you could actually shave it.
Yeah.
And I do the whole thing, and I'm like, wow, I got my face back. I come walking up into the living room, stand in front of my family. They didn't notice a thing. Didn't blink. Just like, oh, he's back, whatever. Like,
I know. It's like this big deal in your mind, and then you realize, oh, nobody's paying attention to me.
You know what? That line, I think you actually said that to me when we were out touring. Well, it was like nobody cares, no one's paying attention, and nobody cares.
Yeah, that's right.
That really stuck with me. We're always concerned about other people and what they're going to say about me, and should I wear glasses? Do I look fat? Nobody cares. No one's paying attention.
No, it's very true. And I admit, like, I'm a little surprised that it extended to your immediate family. Like, they should care and be paying attention. I meant, I meant like the public, like when in our band, when we put out, we're like thinking if we should put out this song or that song as a single or whatever. And it's like, oh, well, last album, we kind of had a fast song as the first single. And then maybe this, people will think we're just doing the same tricks again. It's like, nobody cares if nobody's paying attention.
I know.
Like if Spotify pushes it to them, they're going to listen to the first 30 seconds of it. And that's about it.
Yeah, that's really all it's going to do. But how old are your kids now?
7 and 3.
7 and 3. Yeah. So they still care. They're still paying attention to you.
Yeah. They have nothing else.
No. Right. They have nothing else going on. Once they have friends and stuff, it's just like dad, whatever. Dad's just, that guy over there.
Yeah.
It's really funny. I was thinking this morning because, we talk a lot about eating and what we like to make and stuff on this podcast. And I was thinking about your two kids because I was trying to even remember what meals were like when they were little. It's like trying to remember all the details of a tornado.
Right.
It's like, it happened, but
right.
It's very fuzzy.
Right. It's like, what did they eat is at the bottom of the list of things you're trying to like pay attention to.
Right.
Well,
what is mealtime like for you guys?
I mean, so a lot of the times they eat earlier than we do now. So we don't eat all together. I'm actually looking forward to the time when they get a little bit older so we can all eat together.
What time are they eating?
They eat at like 5.
Mm-hmm.
And we wait until my wife is a lawyer and she works, from home. And so I wait until she comes out of her really sad cocoon and, and is like, I'm like waiting there with a glass of wine for her, like soothe her back into reality and like seeing other people. So that'll be about like 6:30 or 7. But the kids, they're mostly eating like kind of kid food right now. Like they want pizza or chicken nuggets or mac and cheese and stuff like that. But
right.
It makes me a little sad because they are adventurous, but they're not like picky. It's not just like plain spaghetti with nothing on it. And otherwise they have a tantrum. It's like if we put real food in front of them, they will eat it. But it's like, I'm not really going to cook 2 separate dinners,
Yeah, right. Exactly. I did that for years, and it wasn't 2 would have been a treat. It was really like 4 because I have vegetarians and and picky, and it was literally like a line cook. It was like, okay, so this, and whatever the one child would say, the other side would say the opposite. I'd be like, okay, so what do you want today, spaghetti or veggie burgers? Veggie burgers. spaghetti.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
oh.
that's right. It's like they're staking out their identities with their little meal choices every day.
Yeah, and a bad parent helps that out and fosters it and gives them exactly what they want.
I think the problem is we ask the kids what they want now.
Yes. I never made a choice as a child. I was
I
never I was never rolling into the kitchen like it was a restaurant.
That's right. That's right. I went on a total like Michael Pollan kick and read all his food books. And
Oh
one
yeah.
of the things of the many things that stuck with me was how like it's become so easy to make a lot of different types of foods, pre-prepared or packaged or semi-prepared foods at home that like it's not uncommon for everybody to eat different things on the same day.
Right.
But like pretty recently, there was no way that everyone in the house wouldn't eat the same thing.
Right, of
It's just
course.
whatever's for dinner is what's for dinner. That's how it was, when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And like, if we don't ask our kids what they want, they just eat whatever we give them. But the minute
Right.
you ask, it's like, if they don't get whatever the first thing they think of is, it's like, I'll have to go to the store if they think of something that we don't have. If I can't like succeed in manipulating them out of it in about 5 minutes, like I'm getting in the car.
It's so funny. God, it's so when you said the thing about the plain pasta, like my daughter literally would look if there was one pepper flake, like one little black pepper flake, she
Yeah.
would just push it to the center of the
The
table
whole
and be like,
thing.
"I can't eat this." Oh
Yeah.
man,
But
it
I will
really
say,
you're go ahead.
I've been, for the grown-ups, for my wife and me, I've been cooking a lot during, it's been one of my saving graces.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Were you a
Yeah.
cook before this?
No, not really. And it coincided with the just sort of getting into reading every single Michael Pollan book where I'm like, okay, we have the time. Like now I have the time and we sort of, I had always thought of preparing food as something to be like minimized and you want to get it done as quickly as possible. And if a recipe takes less time, that's a virtue.
Right.
And now I'm like, this thing takes 20 minutes. Like that can't be that good. I want
Right.
the 2 hour prep time,
Yeah.
something I can get my hands dirty with. And, so
Right.
I just sort of decided at the beginning of the pandemic, I didn't get into the sourdough. I know you're a big sourdough, but you were ahead of the curve on that. And then
Hmm.
everybody kind of jumped on the bandwagon. And
Yeah.
I didn't get into that, but I did just decide that like spending an hour or 2 or 3 in the afternoon to prepare dinner was going to be like a hobby. And I'll just put on music and drink wine or whatever and
Yeah.
make food.
Oh, that's so great. I know.
Yeah, it's great.
I love when the schedule works out where you just roll in. I always think of my grandmother. I'm like, she spent all day in the
Yeah.
kitchen, like
Yeah.
all day. So like if I could roll in there, if we're going to eat around 6 or 7 and I'm hanging out in there at 4
Yeah.
and this is just where I'm
Best.
going to camp out for a while. It's really the best.
And let me tell you, my schedule has been working out like that lately.
Yeah. What are you doing? Are you guys came
Well,
out with more music?
we've so right. We're doing a sort of a live, not live, recorded video series called Sad Songs Comedy Hour, which is our online version of our Largo variety show, which you were a guest on, and a bunch of other, mostly musicians. And
Great
then,
show.
thank you. So that was fun, like, sending files and videos back and forth to people and recording songs, singing harmonies with them.
Well,
Um, my bandmate and I, Kenneth, was in Canada for most of the pandemic, but once he came here, then we started writing a new album. So we're getting together, a few times a week and writing songs. And we
nice.
did our first live, like proper live stream of the pandemic, which I thought was going to be like a terrible experience, like
Uh-huh.
playing a concert to a phone, to a
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
But it was so great. It had like, I had as much adrenaline as for like a normal show, Like
Wow.
when it was starting and during the first song, like it really gave me about 80% of the feeling of being on stage in a real show.
Wow, that's
Other
amazing.
other than that, basically nobody clapped at the end of the song, which is
Well, that
something we've
which
really
is
grown accustomed to.
which it's good that you fostered that during your live shows,
Yeah,
so you were used
it's
to it.
it's so funny. Like I always remark, registered as one of the main differences between comedy and music is like if you tell a joke that doesn't work, the audience won't laugh.
Hmm.
But if you play a song that sucks, they will still clap.
I know.
You know, it's
Yes.
like such a softer landing.
I always wished, especially when I was starting out and struggling, I always wished that I had a guitar just so at the end of the joke I could go dun 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 bump.
Right. It's like it's like clap now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in a recording of a TV show with the applause lights for the audience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
No,
it's
it's true.
great.
We've done we've sometimes it's actually so awkward. We haven't done it more than once or twice, but we'll ask the audience before the song, like, just don't clap at the end of this song, and they can't do it. It's not
It's
physically
not
possible.
possible.
Yeah, they wait like
Yeah.
2, 3, maybe 4 seconds, and
Uh-huh.
the awkwardness is so thick that they just eventually they just stop they just
Just
start clapping.
attention. Oh,
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
they
Oh
cannot do
God. Comedy audiences can do it so easily.
it.
You have to beg them to do it. Oh my God. Do you miss the road? Do you miss getting out of the house?
I just started missing getting out of the house
Mm-hmm.
after all these months.
Yeah.
I miss the only thing I missed right away was the 90 minutes on stage.
Yeah.
All the rest of it, I was like, I got enough miles to last me a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I've listened to enough audiobooks in the like bunk of the bus to last a lifetime.
Yeah.
And if I could just do the 90 minutes a night on stage that I crave so much,
Yeah.
and which I think is important for, society. Like
Mm-hmm.
one thing I've become a little bit in tune with is like, there's a lot of people out there who going to shows is their whole like social life,
Yeah.
basically. Like they make their friends from going to shows.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the same in comedy, but like, there's a whole subset of the population out there who just basically rely on concerts, and they go to
Yeah.
several a month. And I don't know what they've been doing this whole
I,
time. I guess they've just been watching live streams. But just this past week, I was like, you know what? I think it would be nice to have about 3 hours to myself to listen to an audiobook in the bunk of a bus.
I know. I know. I dropped my daughter off for college. We brought her to LAX. She was flying back to the East Coast.
When was this?
This was just a week ago. And yeah,
Congratulations.
thank
One
you.
down.
Well, she's going back for this is her second semester. Like she was there in September,
Oh,
and
she
then
started right before the pandemic,
right before the pandemic. No, in the pandemic, September.
and
In
she went. Okay,
yeah, and she went, and they just test, and they did it all the right way, and then but
right.
then she was home for break for Christmas, and so this time I just dropped her at the airport and watched her go check her bags, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't have a flight on my phone, on my apps. I have zero flight.
Right.
She's getting to go on a plane. I was like, just driving out of the airport like this sad little man. I was like, am I just retired? Am I a
Yeah.
retired man just driving other people to adventures?
I know. That's like our home. That's where we feel most comfortable.
Oh God. You were so comfortable. You were more comfortable because we got to travel with Live from Here, which was great because especially for me because I always traveled completely alone as a comedian.
Yeah.
And the musicians always seem to be like a bit of a crowd. There's
Yeah.
always like
That's
other
right.
people.
We move in packs.
Yeah, you move in packs. And I was the one thing that I really was always astounded by was how you'd leave the hotel, like we'd have to get up super early and get to the gate and get on the flight, the first flight out, and I'd be like, okay, so I guess we got to leave at 6. And you're like, I'll meet you there. What do you mean you'll meet me there? I'm not leaving at 6. And then you would leave at 7 and just kind of like walk with no urgency, no rush, just walk through the airport. And I've been there for half hours waiting nervously, and you would just be like, good morning, and just walk. It's like you arrived as they said, Joey Ryan, please come in. And you just walk onto the plane.
For me, it's like if you get there before they're urging you personally to get on the plane, you've miscalculated.
Oh man, I really thought like I was even more nervous when I was younger, and I really thought I kind of cooled out over the years. And seeing you, I'm like, no, I'm still a wreck.
It's not. It is a little bit of like a Russian roulette, like Daredevil kind of thing, because there is nothing worse than actually missing the plane.
Have
like
you ever?
That, I think in the past many years, I can remember I missed one. And it was of no consequence. Like I was traveling the day before the show, and there was another flight. It was if you're going from like LA to New York, there's always another one, unless you're like a red eye or something. But I just got the next one. I'm sure I missed like whatever dinner plans I had, but it was not. I remember justifying it to myself. I was like, how many hours have I saved over these years not going to the airport early? And was it worth it for this one missed flight? I think it was worth it.
But then the other side of it is, so what am I doing? I'm staying in this Holiday Inn Express for another hour.
It's stupid. There's no good reason.
It's just the nature of it. But I have to say, I really do miss the traveling for Live from Here. It was such a crazy, big, unique project.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure I'll say in the intro that you and I actually got to meet. The first time we met was meeting with that guy from the production who they were looking for some help, and met at a coffee shop.
That's right.
And I was like, oh, who's this guy?
We passed each other on the way. We passed each other on the way in and out of the interview.
Right. Yeah. And then you had the creative director job. I had the writer job, and then we just got to go work on it. And it really was a really fun time. Crazy production. Yeah.
I missed it the most this past December when it was like holiday time, because those shows were always so special and sort of thematically tight and musically diverse, but like still centered around the holiday themes. Yeah. I missed it.
I did too. Chris did too. I talked to him about it, and just being like in New York, you're right there in like the center of Christmas. And just cranking those shows out. Yeah, so good. It was such a good mix of people and stuff. But the traveling was really, really cool. And you sent me that picture the other day of us eating crabs. And where were we? It must have been Maryland. Oh,
must have.
Was that
maybe it was
venue?
DC.
That outdoor national park venue?
Wolf Trap. Yeah.
Wolf Trap.
Yeah, that's right. Would have been Wolf Trap in Vienna, Virginia. And Guster was the musical guest, one of the musical guests, and they've got 17 dudes in their band, and we all went for crabs. That is actually, that's probably the main thing I miss is like the regional food specialties of eating everywhere. Like we have this favorite, like going to play in Portland, Maine in the summer, and having lobster sitting by the sea and having lobster from a shack is just, you don't feel like you want to fly all the way across the country just to do that. But when you're there, like when you're there, it's like, oh, it makes the whole thing worthwhile.
Oh, so good.
And crabs on the Chesapeake is like one of the best things.
That was so legit. It was just the big trays with the big pile of crabs, tons of Old Bay.
Yeah.
Oh, and just sit there with everybody. Just your hands are just all cut up from eating the crab, and then the Old Bay's getting in your cuts. That was so great. I actually went 2 nights in a row because I ended up with one other group, and then I was like returned. By the end of it, I was so filled with sodium.
Yeah.
Oh man!
You're like, my mouth is going to be dry forever. I actually started watching The Wire again just so I could see them eat crabs. It looks so good.
It's so good. I know. And then we go all the way through all of this, and you're on my mind a lot because we've talked about getting together just for coffee.
Yeah.
And then like we decided, okay, we'll get together. And then we had another lockdown, like immediately after we like, even just talked about it. We're like literally a mile and a half from each other.
I know.
And this is what the pandemic has done.
You know, it's good practice. It's good practice for when we all have to go live on different planets. You know what I mean? Like, I think this is just what it's going to be like when Elon gets his colony on Mars, and like if it gets bad enough here, enough people will go, and it'll be fine. Like, we'll all be ready.
Right.
We'll just have nobody will leave their little eco pods, and you'll have school, and the kids will have play dates. And
I have felt that way here, like especially when it's like at night or when the weather's bad. Like walking down the hallway, I feel like I'm in like a scene from Aliens or 2001 when they're like just have to travel for a year and a half to get there. And they're just like, I'm going to the workout room now.
Right.
When you exercise, I'm going back to the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah,
Little space.
They go to the area that's spinning that like has artificial gravity so they can work out.
Right, exactly. That's how I feel. Oh my God, it's so lame.
We've had to invest in our hobbies. My wife does pottery, and me and the kids got into rock climbing. So we like got a bunch of pottery stuff for her to like, throw her pottery, and we built a little rock climbing wall for us to climb on. But we've been going like real rock climbing out in nature on like where you can die.
Wow. I did that for like a year or so right after college.
Really?
Yeah, I loved it. I didn't keep going with it because I was living in New Jersey, and the time of year is pretty limited. But man, it was such a cool sport.
It's so fun.
Yeah, it's real. So you know how to do the ropes and everything?
Uh-huh.
You can bidet?
With the best of them.
And you got the cool shoes?
Yeah, we got the shoes, got the ropes, got the harnesses, and all the gear and stuff.
Is your wife watching the pottery show on? I don't know if it's Netflix or it might be HBO Max. There's a kind of like a challenge show, like a cooking show kind of thing, but all with pottery.
Really? I hadn't heard about this. Oh, she's gonna
really
love that.
Good. She would love it because I have no interest in pottery at all, and I'm like, I'm like all in.
Oh, you're watching.
I'm like, that handle is just, I can't accept that.
I feel like Seth Rogen is doing more for the promotion of home pottery than anyone in the past 20 years.
It's really true. Do you think when it opens up, we're going to hang on to these hobbies, or you think we're just going to blast off and never see our families again?
Well, I've always been like our lifestyle. Maybe it's different for comedy, but our touring goes in spurts. So it's like a few weeks at a time, and then there's always weeks at home. So I think I can still go rock climbing, and I'm trying to get my wife to retire from being a lawyer and just do pottery. We're gonna have to move, I guess, but
you're gonna have to live in a lean-to, get one of those tiny houses.
We're gonna have to go buy a big gross mansion in North Carolina, like from the SNL Zillow sketch or the Ted Alexandro Zillow bit. I should say.
Yeah, how about that?
I had seen that. I had seen that. I don't know if I had seen the whole special, or if I had just seen the footage on YouTube or something. But
Hmm.
I had seen his Zillow bit before, and I
Yeah,
didn't actually put it together until you sent it to me. That like it's the same premise.
yeah, and because our Lexus sketch
Yeah,
was eerily similar to the SNL thing.
I mean that one's funny because you know Katie, who wrote it for us, like wrote it for them, and they
Hmm.
didn't use it, and then
Right,
they did use it.
right. So was it theirs?
No, I think so. I don't know. I don't know enough about the details of it, but like
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you. So like it strikes me that like the Alexandro bit about Zillow is like it kind of shares a premise,
Hmm.
but I didn't feel like like the did you think that that's the same joke, or can like people do the same premise and that's okay, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's not uh it's not totally out of the realm that's a pretty common angle. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
you can, like I had a joke, like back a couple specials ago, something about like my mom like mispronouncing MySpace, and
Uh-huh.
she was going on Facebook and calling it My Face,
Right,
and it
yeah.
was like, when you're dealing with cultural things like that, like those references,
Yeah.
we're all dealing with it. We're all digesting it. Everybody's
Yeah.
kind of you tell now, like especially with social media, there are range of kids coming up with jokes
Right.
that are cultural little touchstones. That's not. It's not like it's so unique to the individual that you're like,
Right.
oh, that guy took that. That's obviously a Chris Rock thing, or
Right.
that's Zillow. We're all, and look at it. It really resonates because everybody's kind of thought that. Everybody loves
Yeah.
Zillow. When my 15-year-old came in and we were talking about it, she's like, "Oh, I love Zillow." It's like, so you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but there is a habit, especially among sketch shows, where there is a lot more poaching going on in that than there is in stand up, because
Uh,
there's an organization, there's all these moving parts, there's all this stuff, and a young writer sees something on YouTube and brings it in, and the head person isn't even aware
right.
of it. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's you can almost get away with it easier in
Yeah,
these,
for sure.
you know.
I wonder if also it's because like you're writing it for someone else. Like as a stand-up, you always got to be writing for your own voice. So it's like not everyone can do every joke.
Right, right, exactly.
But with a sketch, you're like, oh, you got a whole cast of people to give it to. I
Yeah.
don't know. I love Alexandra's bit, and I also love that sketch, and I don't know if I should feel bad about, you know, liking
Yeah.
both of them.
I know exactly. I don't think so. I think we're allowed to enjoy whatever we want to enjoy. You can watch a Woody Allen movie. I wouldn't fault you.
Okay, I got the all clear from you on Woody Allen.
So are you writing now? Like are you when you are writing, because your music is so great, but you also have a comedy bent to
Mhm.
your live shows. Does the comedy stuff just kind of emerge as you're finding it out on a tour, or do
Yeah.
you kind of contemplate stuff in that? Do you write that part out as well?
Well, definitely not while we're writing songs. The songwriting and then the stuff in between is so separate.
Hmm.
And it's part of why we start like feel like we have to do something in between the songs, because our songs are can be so sad or like melancholy,
Hmm.
emotional, or anyways, just like earnest. They're just like
Right.
totally in earnest. And that's definitely a big side of us as people and as writers, but it's not, we're also lighthearted and sarcastic and
Yeah, you're two wise
I,
asses.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I think I always felt like there's something so artificial about the whole thing of getting up on stage in front of a group of people and turning out all the lights except the ones that are pointed at you, and everyone shuts up except you get a microphone broadcast through these big loudspeakers, and you just, how can you be in that situation and not comment on it every time?
Right.
And just like act like it's normal and be like, oh, this is what I deserve, to play you this shit that I wrote in my bedroom. Like, it's just it's too precious. You have to undermine it. Almost, I used to think at every turn, and now I'm realizing, finding the balance of like,
right.
You can't undermine it too much, because people do like to be carried, they like to get carried away and suspend their disbelief. And,
yeah,
we have friends who we just put on a 90-minute show of straight folk earnestness, and that's wonderful too. People love it. It's just I just can't do it. It's I feel like the audience trying to hold their applause. Like, I can't help but try to undermine the thing. So that's kind of where it came from. So then we we undermine our songs or each other. We kind of give each other shit, or we'll make fun of the song before we play it,
right?
But then play it in total earnestness.
Yeah. But it's not so whiplashy either, though, because it's still kind of it's still your voice. It's still, there's a, you convey a certain thing without speaking at all. You convey a humor and an earnestness. Like, you could just stand there and you would kind of sum up what you guys are about.
Yeah, that's a good point. And also, it's also, as much as sad or emotional or earnest songs are part of the folk tradition, also storytelling and jokes and and sarcasm is a huge part of the folk tradition too. I mean, some of the funniest stage performers are folk musicians. The late John Prine, rest in peace, is one of the great comedic storytellers of all time.
Oh, so great. It's amazing. I could listen to him every single day. And you could listen to the same song every day and still be like, come away like, not even with something new, but just like you appreciate it. I don't know what it is. What is it? You know music.
Yes, but the beauty of it is that I think it's kind of leaves you dumbfounded every time.
Mm-hmm.
Our friend and mentor Joe Henry always talks about how the thing he loves about music is specifically that it's mysterious, and that it seduces more than it explains.
Yes.
We were the hosts the last couple of years of the Americana Music Awards, which is in Nashville and there's like a awards show and a bunch of performances at the Ryman. And this last year in September, John Prine and Bonnie Raitt were doing a surprise performance of Angel from Montgomery. And so I was sitting alone in the pews during rehearsal, just like waiting for the rehearsal of our next segment or whatever.
Yeah.
And they just came out, and the two of them, it seemed like they hadn't seen each other in months or years, but I know they had been doing some stuff around this song recently. So I know that, but she just came out, stood next to him, and just the two of them in an empty Ryman started in on Angel from Montgomery. And
oh my God,
I swear to God, I've heard the song 100 times more.
Easy,
probably 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Her version, his version, everyone else's version. And she opens her mouth for the first line, and I'm just like ugly crying alone in the pews, and I'm looking around to see if anyone's watching me, and I'm like, no, okay, I can let it go. But it was totally involuntary, and I don't know how to explain that. It was just the totality of all of it, including the fact that you've heard the song so many times, so all the different associations that you have with the song and everywhere you've been and the things you were doing when you were listening to it over the years. And then just there is a thing of a quality of certain people's voices that can just cut so deeply, so immediately, emotionally, that like It hardly even matters what they're singing. Sometimes it just
Yeah.
just hits you.
When we got to work with Prine on Live from Here when we were in New Orleans, and Rory Scovel was on the show as the guest comedian, and he didn't know who Prine was. And same thing in rehearsal, same thing. We're sitting on the wings, and I'm like, we've got to hang for this. We got to watch him rehearse before we get out of here. And he's like, oh, all right. And we sat down, and they start playing, and he turns to me like a couple minutes in, and he goes, how do you go from not knowing who someone is and then making you cry within 2 minutes? And he wasn't the great depth of Prine, the soulfulness of it was he was singing like funny lyrics. He was saying things that were kind of amusing, but it was also moving at the same time. It's like,
yeah.
But see, that's where I'm envious of your shows, is that you can have those moments, and you can your songs are very moving, and then you get to have the humor to it, and it's like the two elements that I always find lacking in comedy is it's hard to be abstract. Like you can sing a song lyric, that makes no sense and put two words together that don't belong together, and it can live in a song and provoke these thoughts in people. You can't do that when you're telling us a joke.
Right.
It's too if you're abstract, they're puzzling. They can't. You're not going to get there. So it's like that part of the language. I always try and like mess with it, but it's very difficult.
That's
to do.
true. Are there any comedians that that pushed that boundary that kind of left of center but did it well?
No, I mean it's not even left of center. I mean there are people that will be odd, and like Dimitri Martin or different people. You can be odd, but you can't be
right.
mysterious.
It's got to make sense at some point.
Yeah, you can't really have the mysterious part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because song lyrics can be weird and nobody knows what they are. People don't even think they're singing it, and everyone has their own version of what they think the word is.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah, it's so great.
It's another one of our great soft landings. Like, you can sing whatever you want and they will clap. This is the arrangement.
It's so wonderful. And then it's also being able to shift gears and be sincere with it, which is, you can have moments of that in stand-up, but in a theater you can actually.
Right.
In a club,
it's hard.
It's hard. I used to tell this story about a friend of mine who passed, and in a club people were like, "What is he doing?"
Right.
It was
It's not what they're there for.
Yeah, it's not what they're there for. They're like hammering drinks and making out with their girlfriends, and they're like, "Why is he talking about death right now?"
Right.
You know what I mean? In a theater,
you can't tell a serious story when there's a 2-drink minimum.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. You can't tell the truth. They can't. They never think you're being serious.
Right.
Right.
But there's, I feel like, and I don't know enough, but it feels like, there is a style of storytelling in comedy, which is maybe like really in vogue right now, where you can have tender, earnest moments as part of it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess you wouldn't, maybe I'm just not aware of it, but maybe that's coming up in like the alt scene. So they're in theaters from the beginning and you're not really coming up in clubs and bars and stuff.
Right. Exactly. You don't have to, the clubs and bar path is you have to hammer quickly. And then then when you're in these other spaces you can kind of like but it's so I always feel like it's sliding into the one person show at that point. Like
yes.
You're kind of like, and what are the people coming out for? Are they coming out just to hang with you and go down that path, whatever way you want to go, melancholy or whatever, or are they coming because they want to laugh for an hour and a half like they never they haven't all year long.
Right. It's funny. I love both. I love all of it.
Yeah.
I recognize that it's different and it would be hard to maybe do both, and everyone maybe has to pick a lane at some point. But
Hmm.
I love both expressions of the form.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's there's not. I know that some people are like, "We'll watch specials now," and they're like, "Where are the jokes?" And it's like, well, just because they're not doing it the way you were doing it when you were coming up doesn't mean it should be growing. It should be moving forward,
Right.
and maybe this is maybe this is all part of it.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Well, now that California has opened up a little bit, I'll bake you bread.
Yes. More
And
bread.
when you come back from your travels for next week, we'll sync it up where I will complete the bake, show up with bread, and we'll have coffee out
I'll
of
make
our
some
homes.
coffee. It was just my birthday, so I'm stocked up on like my snobby coffee that I get when it's a special occasion.
What is your
Should,
snobby coffee? Do you mind me asking?
lately, I like this. So we do pour overs in the Chemex, and I like this roaster in Boulder, Colorado called Dragonfly,
Oh, I don't
and
know
they
that.
have like normal snobby coffee, but then they also have the shit that's like birthday snobby coffee,
Yeah.
where it's like, the bag is way too small and the price tag is like, I'm going to drink this,
Right. Yep.
It's kind of like wine in that way, though, where it's like once it gets over a certain amount, it's, you got to convince yourself that you're drinking somebody's artwork.
Right.
And,
Their expression.
yeah, exactly. And I will say it's really good.
Really.
It's not 8.5 times better than the normal snobby
Right.
coffee,
Yeah.
but it is really good. And so
Oh, it sounds amazing. All right, let's
I'll
do it.
I'll pour you a cup of that.
That sounds great. But all right, well, we should be seeing each other much more often, and we could also go out for coffee now. We could actually
Now
sit
we
someplace
can.
without our families.
Let's do it. I can't imagine.
I know, it was so weird.
They're always here.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for being here. This was great. This was such
Thank
a nice.
you.
This is one of the great. This is the whole reason of doing this was to literally break bread and sit with people, and we should be eating and drinking, but at least we get to catch up like this. It means a lot.
Of course. Great to talk to you.
All right. I'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Safe travels. That was the great Joey Ryan. I told you you'd like him. And now let's get a quick bite with our good pal, Tom Segura.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, buddy.
How's it going?
Good, man.
I just felt like I should talk to you because it's Valentine's Day.
I mean, you're the first guy I thought of today. You know?
Yeah. You wake up, you think candy, flowers, Tom.
Tom. What's going on with Tom right now? What's he wearing?
Where are you? You were in Florida?
I'm in Florida right now. Yeah, I'm visiting my parents for a few days. They both got vaccinated, and
Wow.
then I've already had COVID, so
I didn't know you had it.
I had it in December.
Oh.
So
You guys are the future.
we're the future, man.
Holy
Yeah.
cow. What's it feel like?
Well, it's nice to be able to just see them. I hadn't seen them in a year and a half.
Oh, my God, I know. My parents are
Yeah.
getting their second dose in like another week.
Yeah, it's I think actually my dad's fully vaccinated. My mom's on round 1, but I'm not really a threat to them. So
Right. Wow, good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna see them, and then I'm gonna go do shows in Palm Beach.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. I haven't done stand up now in 3 months. So
I know. I'm in the same spot. I'm literally, the beginning of it, I was like kind of sneaking out and doing spots once in a while. Now I haven't. And now I'm officially, on the verge of a nervous breakdown.
Yeah. I need to do it, man.
Yeah. Do you think people will come out?
I think so. I mean, the shows are. I mean, they're already ticketed, gone. So.
Oh, cool.
They're doing half capacity.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Well,
So we'll see.
Yeah, well, that's great. It really literally sounds like I'm talking to someone, like I'm coming back to planet Earth, and you're telling me about what it's like. We're doing shows. I saw my parents.
Yeah. Oh, God. It does feel good. I feel like we're on our way, not just because I'm doing it this week. I feel like, the world it's on its way. So
yeah,
that's good. It's a good feeling to have.
God, 100%. How are you healing up after your big basketball thing?
My big fall? Yeah, I'm pretty good, man. I mean, I've made a lot of progress. I'm walking around. I'm using my leg, using my arm. It's just got to get stronger. Like I've, atrophy in my left quad. But it's all going well. I worked out today at a gym here.
That's good. That's good. I literally, I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times, but I literally watched it like, oh, right, now I have to cross basketball off my list of things. I had skiing on there that I'm not going to do, and water skiing, and now I guess I can't even play basketball.
I mean, I was going hard, when we were playing.
Yeah.
But I had been playing, like, this is the thing people don't realize when they watch that video. I've been playing tennis 3 times a week for 90 minutes for the last 6 months. I was lifting weights 3 days a week. Like, I wasn't, like, not active.
Right.
And we played basketball. We played 2-on-1, and we finished. And we started doing these silly dunks, and like it's all going fine. I'm like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And dude, it's like the equivalent of walking out of a building and getting like hit by a truck. Like that's how random it felt, and that's how much it hurt.
Oh, you must have been so puzzled just laying on the ground. Like, what the hell just happened to me?
I thought a fucking gun went off. Like,
God.
Also, when I got to I was with a trauma surgeon. He's like, dude, he goes, it takes a tremendous amount of force to tear your patella tendon. And I go, he's like, what were you doing? I was trying to dunk, dog.
That's how hard I go.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I guess that makes sense.
That's so disheartening. It's actually more disheartening hearing that you were like pretty good shape.
I mean, I was definitely overweight, like, and that's for sure. But I wasn't like sitting around. Is my point. Like people go, like, oh, this dude, just trying to do something out of nowhere. I'm like, no, man, I was doing shit like 5-6 days a week.
Yeah, well, but you know what? I was like literally on the stationary bike and was like, oh, that was pretty good. Like 30 minutes. I was so proud of myself. When I compare that to like what I did in high school when I was playing football, I mean, that wouldn't even be half of a warm-up for anything.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
and now it's like in my mind, it's like I really did something, which you did, but it's not really like really in shape.
Oh, yeah. And this has totally like reset me. So like I'm already down like 25 pounds from the end.
Wow.
And like, it's all you think about. Like, you're just like, all in my head, I'm like, I needed to, like, I was an active person, but I wasn't taking diet seriously, and I wasn't being smart about. And then you start thinking about all that shit, like you said, like skiing, and all, and I'm just like, I know, can't get out.
Yeah, no, it's too early. The weight is such a big thing. Like whenever I think of whenever my doctor like talks about like, you want to make sure your blood pressure's good, or if you want to be physical, or you want to be able to stretch, it all just comes down to just lose more weight. You should be 20 pounds lighter, and then none of these problems are yours.
It is the truth. It's such the cause of so many. I mean, I'm so lucky. Like my blood works good, but for sure, like if you carry extra weight, it eventually causes nothing but problems.
There's not a lot of fat old people.
I've heard that, dude. Like I've been hearing that for years now, and
I know.
And every time I hear it, I close my eyes and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I ever see old fat people,
I know. So what are you doing what are you eating?
To be good about diet?
Yeah. Or are you just eating less and it's just kind of coming off because you're of what you're going through?
It's like now I'm trying to hit 200 grams of protein a day. And I'm basically avoiding, any rich foods.
Right.
I'm not eating treats like,
Yeah.
sweets and desserts and stuff. And, maybe like once, I don't know, every few weeks, something like, one meal.
Well,
but
that's
I'm
smart.
trying to eat clean, man. I'm trying to eat clean. And,
I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, let me throw this problem at you then.
Yeah.
Because trying to be a nice guy, we both try and be kind to people in our lives. And my friend Robin from New York sent me a form because her daughter was selling Girl Scout cookies, and I'm like, yeah, fine, I'll give you $30. And what just showed up was 8 boxes of Girl Scout cookies in my house, from the lemon ones to the Thin Mints to the Samoas, and so I've got all these boxes of Girl Scout cookies on my counter right now. What do you do in that scenario? Do you throw them out? Do you keep them around and challenge yourself every minute that you're walking through the kitchen?
The best move is give them all away as soon as you can.
Right. That's
like,
smart.
It's like tomorrow morning, cleaning lady come, whatever. You just go, here's 8 boxes of cookies.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, don't even spread them out. Whoever you run into first.
Whoever you
all of them.
Dude, I can't be around shit like. Now I will do this. When I love something, like I love this croissant place. I will buy croissants to give them. Like I'll be like, I want to see your face eating them.
Right. Yeah,
but I don't want to. I don't want to keep them at home.
Yeah. No, it's too much. I'm not that strong.
No way, dude. I can't. I mean, if you give me pastries, I'm fucked. I really am. Like if you brought over bread, like fresh baked bread, there's no way I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll be right. No.
You're right. Yeah, no.
I just can't. Man. I can't be around it, dude.
Yeah, no, it's impossible. It's impossible not to eat it. All right, buddy. Well, I'm not going to keep you. Have a great time in Florida. Have great shows. Give me a call and let me know how the shows go. I really want to hear how life on Earth is. Yeah, for sure, man. We'll do. All right. When are you coming home? I'm going to stay here. I'm going to fly home next Sunday. All right. All right, buddy. Have a great time. All right. Thanks, pal. All right. See you soon.
All right, that's it for the big show. I hope you had a really good time. Thank you for listening. As always, subscribe and pass around the word about our good show. Give us lots of reviews in all the different places. Make sure that you reach out. Continue to reach out on social media. I do my best to get back in touch with you. And thank you for sending me all the pictures of your bread and all of your good stuff. You guys are the best. I love growing this community, and we'll continue to do it. You guys enjoy your life.